Welcome to episode 163 of the Half Point Per Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Riggs, joined as always by my co-host, Dalton Willie, and producer, Johnny Pham. And not going to lie, just going to get this out of the way right off the top. There is not going to be a ton of football discussion today on the podcast. Short week, Thanksgiving week, obviously on Thursday, so no Wednesday pod. Getting a quick episode out there on Monday for you guys. We will talk about a couple players we are thankful for, Dalton and I, off the rip here in a minute. We've got a Thanksgiving draft. Later on, we'll explain how that works as well. But first of all, how are you guys doing on this incredibly unproductive Monday of Thanksgiving work week?
I came to work and was expected to be productive. And
me too.
Could be, some are saying, the worst thing to happen to me all week.
The worst thing that happened to me all week is I forgot my AirPods at home today. Just a very poor day to forget the AirPods at home.
I didn't even get to pull mine out. I was pulled around in so many places.
Devastating. I won a lot of money in college football, lost a lot of money in college football, then decided to double down on the Commanders, and then they decided to not have special teams. I want that coordinator just – I'm just at a loss of words. Embarrassing.
Whoever that player is for the Cowboys who returned that onside kick for a touchdown, how is he not already cut? I don't even know who it was, unless he's like a key starter. How is that guy not already cut?
It's insane. I'm very happy that Luke Schoonmaker, who I've been on for 3 years now, finally made his blowout performance for the Cowboys.
What was his stat line? Do you know?
I know he had a touchdown.
Okay.
He had a touchdown for 40 yards.
Okay, that's good. I had no idea what his line was, but I was gonna really laugh if his breakout game was like 4 for 30,
3 for 55 yards and a touchdown.
Hey, there we go. We'll take that. We'll take that at the tight end position. Real quickly, before we get in, the rest of the show is gonna be pretty positive. Before we get into that, though, I do want to start with a little bit of negative and some positive mixed in here. Dalton, which player do you want to fix this week? I think it was Jalen Waddle that we fixed last week. I mean, you had Waddle and Tyreek Hill on your list last week. I had just Jalen Waddle, and between the two of us, I'm not sure we could have been harder on Jalen Waddle. And what does he do last week? He goes out, he goes 8 for 144, scores a touchdown, and it is probably difficult to not want to start him this week if you have him on your team. So who should we fix next for the people this week?
Hold on, I'm just seeing whose birthday is November 24th.
You mean what do you mean? That was Jalen? Was his birthday on November 24th?
No, Jalen Waddle's birthday was Sunday. So by extension,
but wouldn't we need to see like whatever next Sunday is?
That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Nobody is the
nobody.
Answer. Wait. Blake Corum.
That would actually be a great one. Kyren Williams fumbled not once, but twice last night. Only got recovered by the Eagles one time. So, hey, Blake Corum,
next man up.
Want to have your breakout performance? We're ready for it. All right, that's a good one. I wasn't expecting much from that, but we'll take that. All right, Dalton, let's talk about a couple of players that we are thankful for really quickly. I can start us off here, and I'm going to start off with, we've talked about a lot of the studs at each position this year, but we've kind of but we just have not really talked about Lamar Jackson too much this year because there just hasn't been much to talk about. He's the QB1. He's amazing. You start him. Like, that's really all there is to it. But on a day where we're just giving some praise and some flowers to players, I did feel like that Lamar was worthy of that. I mean, prior to tonight's game, God forbid something happens bad in tonight's game, he's the QB1, and he's scoring almost 3 points more per game than the next guy up. He has scored 15.9 points or more in every game this season. He has more than 30 points 3 times this year. He's just been one of the biggest advantages at any position in fantasy football, and that is not always how it goes at quarterback. Now, we've got some of those Josh Allen years lately. Mahomes had the one crazy year too, but is easy to forget that there are a lot of years where having the QB1 isn't that much different than having the QB10. And it is definitely a big difference this year. Out of all of the guys that rank inside the top 12 in scoring, it is Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and a very funny third name here, Brock Purdy, are the only guys to not ever score in single digits this season. So he's been consistent with high upside. Just could not ask for more at the quarterback position. I mean, he's 11 off his career high in passing touchdowns. He's probably going to have 800 rushing yards. He may have 4,000 passing yards. He is 800 off his career high, probably going to hit that. Like, this has probably been his best regular season to date, which is obviously saying something. He's a 2-time MVP.
Yeah, and reliability at the quarterback position is so important, and I feel like it hasn't been there this year. I mean, other top guys you think about, you have Baker, who's had his off weeks because the wide receiver core has been depleted. In Tampa Bay, you have Jaden Daniels, who has had several issues with his injuries, so he's been pretty inconsistent. Josh Allen, there's the Texans game that immediately comes to mind where he had like 9 fantasy points and they couldn't get things going, and that team's been pretty run heavy until they added Amari Cooper. Surprise there. So a lot of the top names, the list just haven't consistently been giving you outputs, and he's been giving game-winning weeks. And the best part of it is that defense, surprisingly, is terrible.
Yeah.
And it's giving him a lot more games just to go nuclear for your fantasy matchups. It is a little crazy. I know Zay Flowers has been good this year, but in spite of all of this production outside of Derrick Henry, that offense has really been Lamar Jackson funneling all of those fantasy points.
I mean, you say Zay Flowers, I have to go, and he's a little bit further down the list right now because they haven't played, although they have no bye week. Our guy, Rashad Bateman, I mean, it's kind of happened this year. He's the wide receiver 36. Obviously, they haven't played tonight, but they haven't had their bye week. So probably on a per-game basis, he is inside the top 45 in scoring. Obviously not wonderful, but usable, and he's played every game. Knock on wood. So that's been nice to see as well. Okay, who's your first guy you're thankful for?
He's on this list. I don't want anybody to get aghast.
Okay.
I had to put, despite the season he's had, my man, Anthony Richardson.
Why are you thankful?
And I got a couple of reasons here.
I can't wait to hear him.
First, in the doldrums of the NFL season, he gave us content when he was benched.
Well, that's true. There was no player that was talked about more, at least in between you and I, for about a month there than this man.
In the weeks Anthony Richardson has played, the average ADOT of a pass attempt is up 2.2 yards. He is chucking that thing down the field like no one has any business to. He's not completing it all the time. But he is making football the way I want it to be played, which are bombs down the field as much as possible. And I will say, I read the stat. I thought it was pretty telling of Anthony Richardson. In the Texans game and then last week, Anthony Richardson was pressured on 38% of his dropbacks. He is the only quarterback in NFL history to be pressured that high and not record a sack in 2 games. So I have thoroughly enjoyed the Anthony Richardson experience. I think it's one of the top content moments, watching Joe Flacco go out there and throw a pick 6 and watching every Twitter account tweet Anthony Richardson needed benched so that he could learn how to throw a game-opening pick 6. And I still think that the kid has some good to him. And by far, it is the most fun for me to watch Colts games right now because I don't know what he's going to do next. And I've just thoroughly enjoyed it. For fantasy purposes, I'm not incredibly thankful for him. But when it comes to a per-game watching basis, it is one of the most fun. I don't think I've seen a throw like I saw in week 1 against the Houston Texans from almost any quarterback where he threw off his back foot for 81 yards and a touchdown. And I get the most enjoyment, especially considering the way the Chiefs are playing right now, out of watching Colts games, because I don't care who wins the game. I just want to see what Richardson's going to do next.
If you don't care who wins the game, that is really the only way you can truly enjoy the Anthony Richardson experience. If you're cheering for the Colts, probably not that enjoyable. And if you're cheering for the other team, it is probably a little bit stressful and enjoyable. Like, he goes back and forth probably in that regard. Do you
And
think
just
he
so
has?
everybody is aware, the player also in consideration for my first one was Jameis Winston. I have a type. I know the type, and it's fun football.
I am very thankful for Jameis Winston being on mic'd up in a snow game. I will say that.
Oh, it's so
Um, do you think he has any chance of outscoring CJ Stroud by 61 points over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks?
no,
As you're thinking about that a little too long.
but it's not impossible.
CJ Stroud is averaging more points per game by 0.2 than Anthony Richardson this year.
I'm just saying it's not impossible. I will also say my CJ Stroud take correct to start the season.
Yeah.
It just is being combined with my Anthony Richardson.
It just so happens your other take was so wrong that you're still gonna lose the argument. Okay, my second guy
Don't
that
stack
I've
your takes, kids.
yeah, that's a lesson about parlays right there, inadvertently. My second guy that I am thankful for is Jackson Smith and Jigba. Going to make a certain dynasty owner in our league very happy to have both of these guys on my list today, I'm sure. I saw this tweet today and was like, oh, that's interesting. If you just don't look at touchdowns, just look at receptions and yards. He and Amon-Ra St. Brown are almost identical this year. He has 5 fewer receptions and 8 more yards than Amon-Ra St. Brown. And Amon-Ra St. Brown has had a very good season. That's not a dig at him at all. It is showing how good JSN has been this year. It's 66 for 755 yards for JSN, 71 for 747 for Amon-Ra St. Brown. The difference, of course, is Amon-Ra has 9 touchdowns. JSN has 4 touchdowns this year. And I think you can look back at that DK Metcalf injury about a month ago. That really changed everything for JSN this year. I mean, he has led the team in target share for the last month, even games where DK Metcalf has been in there. The last couple of weeks, he's been the primary read on quick stuff a ton. They're doing a lot of the same things that the Lions do for Amon-Ra St. Brown, where other guys are running clear out routes for him and opening things up underneath. And, you know, he's a guy that can get open in the slot. He's been one of the best guys in the slot this season, maybe arguably the best guy in the slot. I'll get to some of those numbers in just a minute. But since week 8, so since DK went down, JSN is the wide receiver 6. He had a bye week in that stretch too, but he's the wide receiver 6. DK Metcalf's been back for 2 weeks, and he has still scored 17 points in both of those games. Since week 9, he is 7th in receptions, 2nd in yards, 4th in touchdowns, and 5th in first downs. He's also lost 91 yards to penalties, so he's had a little bit of bad luck sprinkled in there too. And if you just look at his slot numbers for the season, he leads the NFL in all of those categories, including catches of 15 or more yards when lined up in the slot. And in 9 games this season, targets are DK Metcalf, 75, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 74. So he has supplanted Tyler Lockett, and he is right there with DK Metcalf as the 1A or 1B in this offense. And it has been a real treat to watch him after we kind of thought, okay, not that it's over, but we did a dynasty value show where we both didn't feel great about where things were heading for JSN. And basically from a couple weeks after that forward, he's been awesome.
Yeah, he's been incredibly fun. And it is one of the more interesting film versus data studies because everybody said the data said he wasn't a good player all of last year, and the film guys said it's there. We have come to find out, similar to Adam Gase in the past, you might just want to throw out what the data is telling you when Shane Waldron is coaching your wide receiver core because he's shown to be pretty terrible at it. And it is exciting, especially because his yards per target isn't a slot merchant. It's like up there at like 10, isn't it? It's pretty high.
Yeah, it's something like that.
And he's just been really efficient and had a couple of big games, which I wasn't really expecting out of him. I was expecting more of like a ho-hum 8 for 80 kind of guy.
Yeah, he had a 30-point game a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. And it's also exciting because Geno Smith is another one of my favorite quarterbacks because he just slings it.
Yeah.
So we are on full steam ahead with JSN, and I think the time has come. We can finally do it. We can lay Tyler Lockett to rest. This is the season where his doubters who were drafting him lower might have finally been correct.
Yeah.
But we made a lot of money over the last 3 years telling them they were wrong.
Yeah. And what is Lockett? I'm going to look right now for the season because he obviously has not had his typical season. He's wide receiver 51, so not great, but also above Ramadunze, right below Devontae Adams. So like it's not like he's fallen off the face of the planet. He's just not that top 24 guy we can draft at wide receiver 39 anymore, sadly.
No, and that is sad. Yeah, him and Devontae Adams tied for right there at 50. So both washed, both game over, getting beat by Quentin Johnston.
Okay, who's your second guy?
This one is a little more in vain with it, but I went with Derrick Henry. It's just very nice to be all in on a guy in the offseason with kind of an outlandish take that he could lead the NFL in touchdowns and break the touchdown record, and then he gets on pace for it. It's also nice to be wrong in some of my reasons that led me there, and despite being wrong in things like he'll have a high snap share and he won't get taken off the field, he still continues to produce on a weekly basis. He's also having a career season. Currently, he's 6th in NFL history in yards per carry. Fun fact, Saquon Barkley is 2nd in NFL history in yards per carry in a season at 6.2. Derrick Henry is at 6.0. Can you guess who the all-time leader is in 2010?
Well, I'm second guessing myself because I don't remember what year he was drafted, but like Jamal Charles is the guy that immediately comes to mind for all of these.
Yes. Jamal Charles does lead the NFL. The greatest running back that was on one of the worst teams ever. Feel bad for him. But Derrick Henry is currently 2 touchdowns under a pace that would break the NFL touchdown record. I still think he can get there. He has a touchdown in every game this season. He has not had under double-digit fantasy points in any game. And he's just been incredibly fun to watch and incredibly exciting to see him on a team that even if he's not a 60% snap share guy, he is a guy that when he's on the field, they're using him. And he's just he gets to come in the fourth quarter when they're up in games and be the hammer and finish games like you thought Derrick Henry always could. And it's just been a fun and joyful ride. Saquon Barkley was on here, but I wasn't as on him in the offseason, so I can't be as thankful.
Yeah. I love how you're thankful your second guy is just actually I was right. That's why I'm thankful. Love that for you.
Well, the first one was I was wrong, but I still love this player.
Yeah. A guy that I almost put on here, Chuba Hubbard had more rushing yards on the Chiefs than Derrick Henry. Thought about Chuba, who played almost all of the snaps in Jonathan Brooks' first game back. We'll see how that continues.
If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, everybody's going to forget about this Panthers game, except for Chiefs fans, and it's going to happen again next year. People will be like, see, the Chiefs suck. It happens every year.
Okay. On that note, let's jump in to the Thanksgiving draft. And this is not a football draft. This is a pure Thanksgiving draft. You've probably seen graphics like these go around where you get $15 and you can buy your Thanksgiving meal, whatever. We're taking a little bit of a different approach, although you guys can really do with this whatever you please. You can either just build your meal, you can build your ideal like Thanksgiving day / day leading up to it. Like Johnny could draft going out to Jack's on Wednesday night because that's what you do in Garden City the Wednesday before Thanksgiving if he wanted to. So you kind of get the idea. We'll do this little snake draft. Johnny, since you have not spoken for a while, I will give you the first overall pick in this draft.
Wow. 1-1. I will say, because I will be in attendance, is going to be the Macy's parade.
I wondered if you were going to go to that. That I'm assuming is your first time going to this parade.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I think it's always like, even on Thanksgiving Day and previous years, it's on at 8:30 a.m. You're just waking up, so everyone just has it on the TV. But actually being able to see the floats and concert performances, that's my 1-1.
Can you take a picture of Goku for me?
exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah, on Wednesday they actually have like a viewing area where they already have like some of the inflatables already up, so like we can just walk in and already see him like a day earlier of a sneak peek. I'm not sure if Goku's a part of that, but I will for sure send a picture.
Can I
when
ask a
see
silly
him.
question?
No silly questions.
What's to stop some ragtag adolescent individual who doesn't like the world from going with a BB gun and just shooting the balloons? Will they not pop? Are they too thick?
I
The-
thought that was going a lot darker place than
No.
The $1 billion foundation of the NYPD stopping it.
Yeah,
is
but
what I
it's
would
big.
say.
They're.
I mean,
It's
So-
it's
so-
a very thick material. It's not
Yeah,
like an
that's what I
actual
was gonna say.
balloon.
I was gonna say, like, these are probably like
Like a jump
Close to-
house.
these are probably close to blimp or jump house level, like inflatables that we're talking.
Yeah.
about.
So I'd need a real gun to do it.
I don't think you can like pop it.
Oh,
Hypothetically.
correct.
Look.
Hypothetically, yes.
I don't think we
Okay.
need to add threatening the Macy's Day Parade to your list this week, Dalton.
I'm not threatening anything. I'm just curious. It's never happened, and I always see it. and I'm like,
Hypothetical.
how poppable are they?
Because why would you want to do that?
Okay, John. So what does your day look like? Like, what time are you waking up? What time are you getting there? Like, how long do you think you're staying there? All that.
It's gonna be a true surprise. I think it starts at 8:30, but I think we gotta get there at like 6:37 is my guess. So I
Mhm.
think get down there around like 7. Wait till it starts. I think I'll be over by 10 or 11, and then we have a Thanksgiving dinner for lunch reservation at a restaurant.
Oh, nice. So no
Yeah,
cooking
like-
after that.
Yeah, no cooking after that, and then after that it's just straight lunchtime or straight nap time because we'll have had such a entire day up to that point.
Well, I don't think Dalton and I are going to be able to top that since you're actually going. So that's a good 1-1. Not the Christian McCaffrey of 1-1s. For this one, Dalton, I will let you go second if you want. I guess you can take the third and have the 3-4 turn if you want. But
I think I'll follow Johnny's idea here, and I'll do like something you do before the meal. And I'm a big no breakfast, no lunch till dinner's ready kind of guy to really pig out at Thanksgiving. So I'll take not eating till Thanksgiving. But
that's what you're drafting, not
Yes.
eating it.
but can I
In
include?
anticipation.
So
Can I?
okay, so but until what time? Until what time?
Depends on when it is. I'd say 4 is usually when I have Thanksgiving dinner.
Really?
Yeah.
So when do you eat leftovers?
Oh, brother, I'm not eating till 4.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
if you
Well,
because like we
You get
usually
the
have
Thursday night game that comes
eat-
on at like 8:30 usually, and then you just eat your leftovers during that game, and then you're super full. You pass out. You're a happy camper.
So you're eating 2 meals within like 3.5 hours of each other.
Yeah. Are we meal shaming on Thanksgiving here?
No. What I'm saying, like, I feel like you eat like at 1 o'clock, and then you can eat your leftovers at a reasonable time and really maximize the amount of food you're eating that way.
Well,
Hey,
unfortunately-
I'm with Dalton. I don't agree with Evan food scheduling shaming on this podcast right here. We're
And when the draft comes
Not
back to
shaming,
me,
yeah.
the next thing I take will make this all make more sense because it is a key part of being able to eat 2 meals.
I just love that, and I don't know if I'm gonna have time to make this into a graphic. We'll see, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. But I just love that my first thing down for Dalton. Well, Johnny has Macy's Day Parade. Dalton has not eating till 4 as his first pick. And with my first pick, I'm gonna be unconventional, I guess, here, and go with the food, and I'm going to go with mashed potatoes and gravy with my first pick. I just feel like no matter what you're eating, and we can talk about different meat options, no matter what meat you choose, mashed potatoes and gravy goes with it all. It makes every side dish you're eating better, like a little roll, little stuffing in there, nice gravy, whether it's turkey, ham, whatever you're eating, like mashed potatoes and gravy is just the ultimate cannot mess up food.
I really enjoy that pick from you. I've been in a lot of debates recently about the best form of potato to consume, and I'm very much on the mashed potatoes trend. So I'm all in.
We also do we do a couple different kinds of potatoes. So we my mom always makes sweet potatoes.
I do love those too.
With and she does the marshmallows on top. Those are good. Those are usually a second plate though. Like you go back for
they're like pre-dessert.
Yeah, because you don't really like that is not something you want like running into your mashed potatoes with gravy. You don't want your sweet potatoes going into your mashed potatoes.
Well, you don't want your savory and sweet mixing on the plate.
Yeah. Although some people like that. And then we also do scallop potatoes pretty often at Thanksgiving. I thought about that, but maybe it's because we do ham at Christmas all the time too, but that feels like more of a Christmas dish than Thanksgiving dish. So that's why I went with mashed potatoes, but I think it's very close between those two for me.
That's fair. I like that.
All right. Where are we back? We're back to Dalton. No, it's me. I'm trying to skip my own pick here. I'm 3-4.
You have unless we're doing something weird here.
No.
Picks with you.
I mean, I think you should. Not eating until 4.
No one's gonna have my next one. I know that. So
well, my next one. I feel like if I'm gonna go food first, I gotta go experience second. I'm going with. We'll just say like I don't know if you want to call it like board games or like board game like social out like whatever you want to call it, but like whatever game or games like whether it's board games or just different activity, drinking games, whatever.
Walk.
What I don't know what that means. whatever games you and your family play at some point on Thanksgiving in the evenings. I feel like a lot of people probably do that. That for me is my second overall pick and one of the things that makes Thanksgiving great. You eat your meal, you watch a little football, whether it be good or bad football, and you take a little nap. You've got some drinks, busting out the cards or whatever. That's just a nice way to kind of cap off the evening, and then you jump right into some leftovers after that.
It's great. I agree. Having a little activity to do while you're digesting all that food is great.
All right, now we're back to Dalton.
So getting drunk by 4 is my next one. Because Thanksgiving, Christmas, those are those holidays where like time doesn't really matter. So, your family's cooking food at noon, you're having a beer, you're having a glass of wine, maybe there's a little cocktail hour. And then in congruency with not eating till 4, you get drunk enough that you are very hungry at 4 and you pig out. And then you sober up a little bit and then you get drunk again. And it's just, you got the bad football on where you're commenting on the bad football, but you don't really care enough. And then when you get those willed relatives who come over that kind of talk a little bit about the political issues you don't want to hear about, there's no filter. And you're just like, hey, Aunt Janet, shut the hell up. And then you go back to football. So it's very
do you have an Aunt Janet?
No.
Oh,
that would be terrible if I did. But you just
does Eli have an Aunt Janet?
No, he does not. But you just get drunk enough that all those annoying conversations where you haven't seen people in a while and they're like, "Get married soon. How's work?" You just brush them off. Just brush them off. You go back to the bar, get another drink, and you're just like, "I don't care."
To the bar. What do you have, an open bar?
Don't you worry about what's going on.
What is this? A wedding with an open bar?
And I'm the bartender, brother, and we pour heavy.
Well, Rumpleman's on the house, it sounds like, wherever Dalton's at this Thursday.
Well, that's how you start your morning. You get yourself a nice cup of coffee and you pour a little Rumplemints in there. You got yourself a little peppermint coffee.
Okay, Johnny.
Wow, off on that note, I did allude to it earlier, but I think just taking a nap, I think just like a built-in day where everyone just takes a nap right around the same time. No one ever has to say, hey,
what time is the Giants-Cowboys game?
God, I have no idea, but
that
really doesn't matter.
That's America's nap time.
I have bad news for you. It's at 3:30.
I mean, that's perfect. For those of us who are eating at 1 o'clock, that's perfect nap.
Yeah, it's a
It sounds like I have to
great-
be drunk by 3:30.
We have to change Dalton's to getting drunk by 3:30. Sorry, Johnny. Nap time. Go ahead.
Yep, nap time's a great built-in time. But then my next pick.
Before we
You
move
just-
off naps, you guys might know this about me. I don't take naps. I'm like a terrible. I don't think I've never taken.
I've
a nap
never
on
seen you take a
Thanksgiving.
nap.
Ever. Well, I mean, you've probably only seen Dalton take a nap when it's not really a nap. So when it's like more like he's passed out.
Mm.
So I don't know
Yeah.
if that's really a good way to judge it. But I mean, you said getting drunk by 4, so I think that catch.
That's why I can't nap at Thanksgiving. 'Cause I just pass out and I don't wake up.
But you can ask Al. I'm the worst napper. If I nap, it means I am very ill or I got like 2 hours of sleep the night before.
Yeah, I don't nap either. I feel that it's hard.
Really?
For me.
See, I have
love
seen
it.
you sleep a lot, but again, it's always the pass out variety. All right, Johnny, next up for you.
Next up, I mean, it's swayed so far away from it, but I used to love going to Black Friday shopping.
Yeah.
Like, just like right when
So you guys would be like the Thanksgiving night, 7 o'clock, you're in line. Like that's when you're there?
this was a real America, and the Black Friday started at midnight on
Oh,
Friday.
okay. That's
Yeah.
important for the note here.
Yep.
Yeah.
We would go at like 10 p.m. kind of just see that's when they started moving it back early because it was always on midnight. And
Yeah.
then I think it was like JC Penney's like, oh, we're open at 11 p.m. Thanksgiving Day. And then that's just kind of where it spiraled. But
Yeah, and now it's like, okay, are they open at 7 a.m., 10 a.m.? Like what? No one's
some of it's happening now. Like it's
Yeah.
already happening this week. So like
We
miss
bought
that chaos.
We bought Apple Watches. That's gonna be our Christmas gifts to each other. That was a Black Friday sale. We did that last week, so
Yeah,
we've really
see, like,
we've really
it's-
jumped the shark with the Black Friday stuff.
There's no more fun in it. I love kind of seeing like the chaos, the trampling of people, shoving people to get the things.
My
It's-
favorite story from Black Friday is one year we went to get a specific TV, and we
Yeah.
go to look, and they're out. And some lady had turned around; her cart had the TV in it, and we just took that bad boy to check out. And we weren't there to see her reaction, but someone lost out on a 55-inch TV that was on sale for $100.
Okay, so when you say we, I'm curious, like how long ago was this? Like we, as in like people that we would
It
know,
was me
or
and Kevin.
okay,
Would have been in high school.
Oh, okay. The high school part's important. I thought you were gonna say it was like 2 years ago. That
No,
would've been great.
there's no allure to Black Friday now. Now I feel like if you're going on
Yeah, it's
Thursday,
kinda
you're just
dead.
hurting retail workers.
The only time that we've gone on Thursday, this was, I think, either our first or second year living in Iowa, and we didn't really know that many people up there. And I mean, we were not planning on going on Thursday, but our internet went out, and this was not a quick fix. This was your internet is out, and we hope it's back on tomorrow type of deal. So we're like, it was like 5 o'clock. We're like, you know what? Let's just go. So I mean, we were out for like 4 hours. I think we bought Christmas gifts for almost everybody that we needed to buy Christmas gifts for. Spent God knows how much money, and I have never been to that many stores in one day in my entire life.
That is a
Interesting.
terrible experience, and I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah, I don't remember what football games were missed because of it, but
How many rounds is this draft before I make my next pick?
5.
Five. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just your third.
We're gonna go with my favorite meal at Thanksgiving: pecan pie. I will eat a whole pecan pie if you let me, and I've done it.
I'm just not the biggest pie guy. I will say if I have to pick a pie, pecan pie. Although you're pecan, not pecan. Your team pecan pronunciation.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a little upset you asked because I was doing mental pretzels trying to figure out what way you guys would say it, just so I wouldn't get made fun of on the pod.
I think I go back and forth myself. I was just curious since you like it so much. If you
I
totally.
prefer pecan.
Okay. So that means pecan is probably right. If I've learned anything from the Chubba Chuba situation.
But pecan is like when people say data instead of data. It bothers me.
So pecan pie, eating an entire pecan pie, perhaps.
I will say, we had our Thanksgiving work thing last week, and I had a coworker bring a deep dish pumpkin pie. Probably the best pie I've ever had in my life.
So what's a deep dish pumpkin? Does that mean it had crust on top again?
It's like the crust is made of almonds instead of pumpkin, or instead of like pie crust, and then the pumpkin filling, which I think is the best part of a pumpkin pie, has like a layer of crust on it, but it's just like more cooked pumpkin, so it's just a little harder. And then it's drizzled in whipped cream. It is so good. I'll send you guys the recipe if you wanted to take a swing at it.
See, I'm sure that's good. This is not me saying anything about that. This is on pumpkin pie specifically. My thing with pumpkin pie is why not just have pumpkin cheesecake? Because it's
so true.
It tastes very similar, like the actual cake part, but the crust is a million times better. I hate pumpkin pie crust with a passion. Underneath, it doesn't bother me, but I never eat the edge crust. Whereas like cheesecake, that's like the best part of the cheesecake.
I personally do think that the Pilgrims really screwed up on Thanksgiving for a couple of reasons, but most importantly, other than the other thing they did that we won't repeat, is making pie the dessert, because there's so many better desserts you could be going with.
Yeah, and we are definitely not our family. We have pie always, but we have other very non-traditional Thanksgiving desserts, because I've definitely never been the biggest pie guy. Yeah, biggest pie guy. All right. Next up, I'm going to go with maybe a controversial pick, especially because I haven't actually ever done this before, but I'm going through this year for the first time. And I'm going to go with prime rib. We are having prime rib for Thanksgiving this year instead of turkey or ham. And we made the decision last year to do it, just like intermediate family. And now this year, the whole family is coming. And I was like, hey, we should still do this, because none of us like turkey that much besides my dad. Everybody else is like, like I'll eat it, it's fine, but turkey's like the worst thing on this plate for me.
Where are you getting the prime rib from?
Some butcher in Topeka, they've already bought it, and yeah, so I'm hoping it's good. But like prime rib in general, always good. So getting a meat that I actually love on Thanksgiving to go with the sides, I'm feeling like that could be a game changer for me this year.
That's pretty elite, and I'm very excited to see the your first plate, because now I'm just thinking of the prime rib on a plate instead of like a turkey that it's just there, rather than prime rib, elite meat, elite protein there.
I like turkey leftovers, but turkey with the first meal is always annoying. Like you have to cut it. If whoever's making it messes up a little bit and it's dry, it's just unfortunate. But when you have the Hawaiian sweet rolls and then you put the turkey in the sweet rolls,
you know what we
swap some potatoes on there and you cook it, that's good.
You know what we should do for real, although you're going to Salina, so I don't think you can do this, but the Texas Roadhouse rolls are just the way to go for the holiday. They're the same price
for you guys.
Does Salina have a Roadhouse?
No, even better. You can buy the unbaked Texas. It's actually fresh baked bread, by the way. It's not the rolls. And the cinnamon butter at Walmart.
Yeah, no, I've seen that. I have not tried that myself, but like the rolls are still so cheap at the store that to me it's like I'd rather just do that than mess them up myself. Okay, mashed potatoes, board games, prime rib. I gotta get. We'll say vegetable. We'll use this term loosely. I'm gonna go with a little cream corn. With my fourth pick. Love a good cream corn. Alex picks every year. It's very good. One of those things that like kind of like mashed potatoes and gravy. It's kind of the vegetable version of you really can't go wrong with it. Whereas like I like green bean casserole. However, it is very dependent on the person making the green bean
Yes.
casserole. My mom makes it and it's very good, but there have been other years where
I've had people make it where they really load up on the onions,
yes.
and that's where I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? So you got to get the crust right on top. There's a excellence to it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, cream corn, pretty basic, pretty easy food to kind of slide in. It's really versatile. We'll say really
It
versatile,
is, and it reheats well. I think the key part of Thanksgiving is how the meal can carry over for multiple days.
And especially like if you're talking about left, you reheat some cream corn. You got a little roll on your plate. You want a little extra butter? Just find a little cream corn.
It's nice and easy.
All right, I've lost track of the order. Is it back to Dalton now?
Yeah. So I've had this in a couple of years, but it is by far the best meat to have, and it is a deep fried turkey.
I've never had deep fried turkey.
One, it's very dangerous. I don't know if you've seen the
Yeah.
videos.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
people burn their houses down.
I think today was the first day where TikTok algorithm was like, it is time for you to watch turkeys blow up on your timeline again.
Yes. So you have to make sure it's sufficiently thawed and there's no like any water or ice crystals inside the turkey, or you will blow up the deep fryer.
So let's get this straight. Dalton's is getting drunk by 4 and this extremely dangerous way to cook turkey.
Yeah, it's like 4th of July, but in November.
Okay.
But if a deep fried turkey is done right, the outside is really crispy, but because it's cooked so quickly, it's never dry. It's always juicy on the inside. And if you season it well, the outside has this crispy layer that kind of seeps in with the seasoning. And it's just such a good turkey. It tastes so much better than every kind of turkey. And I'm going to say something controversial here. One of my least favorite things is people who put stuffing in the turkey. And I am not a big fan of stuffing in the turkey when you can just make it a dish on the side. And you can't do that if you deep fry turkey. Maybe you can. Maybe someone will correct me. But as far as I'm aware, you don't put stuffing in a turkey when you deep fry it. And it just makes the turkey so good. And then it's like a whole event for everybody to go watch somebody deep fry the turkey. And it's really fun and enjoyable as long as, you don't blow up. So all around, it is definitely one of my favorite parts of Thanksgiving when there's a deep fried turkey present. And it's the most American thing you can do is deep fry that thing.
that is true. I'll take your word on it. Never had it, but I'm sure it is good, and probably an improvement over standard turkey for sure. All right, Johnny, I think you have 2 more picks here.
My last 2 picks are corn
Johnny has
on the cob.
Okay, I was gonna say Johnny has no food, so this is a big last 2 picks for him.
Yep, corn on the cob. I feel like this is the maybe once a year time that I ever have corn on the cob, with just like spread some butter on that thing. But yeah, corn on the cob.
Why don't you have corn on the cob more often?
I don't know. It just never comes up on the menu or choosing of me wanting it. It just doesn't happen.
It like just go buy some, boil it for like 4 minutes, and you've got a nice little side dish.
See, I just haven't thought about that. They do, but they don't sell Texas Roadhouse. So that was an unfortunate realization. So can't get those rolls. But then the last pick is going to be for my draft is circling back season of, hey, we're just going to table this until after the holiday season. The next like 36 days is just a wash at work. What's your budget like? No, we're gonna table that until January. Reach back out then. It's just circling back season. Hey, we'll circle back to this later.
It's my favorite. All the coworkers are starting to be like, I'm out this week, and I'm like,
don't care. We're gonna table
January problem.
I like the pick. However, when you take it like in the context of Johnny's whole draft, it's a little bit troublesome that Johnny's only food pick is corn on the cob. We might have some problems with that team construction at the end of the day. Any response?
No, it's my draft. I am the GM of this draft. You can't construct or criticize
I'm not
my own draft.
I'm like, if we were to tweet out a poll,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if Twitter actually lets anybody see what anybody tweets anymore, somebody might say, hey, why does this guy only have one food item?
It's corn on the cob.
It's corn on the cob, which I've never, not to say it's a bad pick. However, I have never had corn on the cob at Thanksgiving.
Sure. I have no regrets. And if we redo the draft, I'll do the same exact thing.
Dalton, what's your last pick?
All right. Well, I do have my 2 staple food items I always eat at Thanksgiving down. My last one, it's when everybody just goes and plays a little football outside. You get the pigskin. You realize you're not in shape. You run a couple routes, and I think I've hurt my knee every other year. It's always good to remind yourself where you're at in life. But you just get out there. I'm always a few beers deep. Clearly, the very first thing, the second thing I picked here is very important to the rest of the day. And you're just chucking the ball in the yard, especially if it's like a warm Thanksgiving day, it ruins the entire mood. But when it's cold and you're out there,
You're gonna love this year then.
Oh, I
It's a
know.
cold
I'm
Thanksgiving
so
here this
excited for
year.
it. And you're just throwing the football with some of your friends. You guys all have a little fun. You're tackling each other here and there. It's just what it's about. It's a little football fun. And I'm probably going to plan that right around 3:30 when that Giants game kicks off, because I think I can throw what Danny DeVito's out there throwing.
Yeah, I definitely a good Thanksgiving activity. Cannot say I've done that probably since I was in high school, but that is not to say it's not a good pick. It's just like have not done. Although, so here's the question. How nicely do you dress for Thanksgiving? Do you change clothes to go out and do that, like throw the football, tackle each other? Or are you out there in like khakis and button-down shirt?
I've never been with dress up people for Thanksgiving. We are jeans and a t-shirt people. Salt of the land.
That's a true Selenian there.
I'm trying to get drunk by 2:00. Do you think I will have wine all over whatever shirt I'm wearing, regardless, by the end of the night?
And man, I've seen it all. Okay, my last pick. I feel like we kind of have to pick this one for a football podcast. Nobody has said watching football, so I'm going to put watching football. Yes, we do usually have to suffer through a Lions game, although last year and this year, if the Bears are game, which it seems like maybe they are, those games are not always the best. Cowboys games, very hit or miss. This year, very much a miss. We do have, and I'm already forgetting off the top of my head who the last game, but we do have a good last game. I'll have to look that up in a second.
Green Bay Dolphins.
Yeah, Green Bay and Dolphins, good game. Oh, yeah, because Tua said he's looking forward to playing in the cold and shutting down some narratives. Last year, we got Baltimore and San Francisco on Thanksgiving,
Although that was a blowout. We did.
It was, but it was a great matchup.
Or was it Christmas?
Maybe it was Christmas.
Mixing up our holidays.
Yeah.
I was drunk for both of them.
But bottom line, watching football on Thanksgiving, another, like, if you're categorizing some of these into as American as it gets, it's probably deep fried turkey, playing football, watching football, and a little midnight Black Friday back when it was actually a thing. So I think we've got our bases covered there.
My problem with football on Thanksgiving is it's good this year because the Lions are good, but always the Lions playing, and they were so bad for so long. And lately, the Cowboys have just been abysmal to watch on Thanksgiving. And the only other thing I dislike about watching football during Thanksgiving, I love it, is that when you're watching it around other people who don't watch football frequently, sometimes I just get like a little irritated. I'm like, no, they're not going to pass the ball on third, or they're not going to run the ball on 3rd and 10 down 28.
You get mad when someone asks you a question when a player just put up a 75-yard touchdown that you're playing against in fantasy that week, and your week is already over.
Or even worse, when they're like, did you guys talk about that guy on the podcast? I'm like, no, we didn't talk about Khalif Raymond this week. And like, of course not. I didn't know he was going to score a touchdown.
Did Khalif Raymond score last year? I feel like that could have happened.
No, I'm sure somebody scored last year who I didn't know anything about.
All right, that is going to do it for this special Thanksgiving themed episode of the Half Point Per Podcast. Give us a follow, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at the Half Point Per Pod. Subscribe to the YouTube at Half Point Per Podcast. Link to all of those things will be in the show notes as always. The show is available anywhere you listen to podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review, and we will talk to you all again next week. Happy Thanksgiving.